discussing for the last, well, since Carter and the first oil embargo, the need for American energy security. Most people now believe that American energy security is going to be based upon the continuation of the oil industry and the coal industry at some level, using the natural gas that we now find that is more plentiful than we once thought as a bridge. Let the oil and the coal industries wane while we build the renewable industry. And so if we took those tax subsidies that the oil and coal industry have enjoyed for a century, shifted them to the new industries, we could then see a blossoming of the green industries. In California today, the solar and wind and biofuel industry employs some 320,000 people. It's a growing sector of the American economy. And the policies that emanate from Washington, D.C. can either help or hinder that growth. That growth is not only new jobs here in the United States, but it's also energy independence. The sun shines on the United States. Well, not at night, but it does shine during the day in most parts of the United States. So solar, the wind blows. And I'm not just talking about the wind in this chamber, but across the nation. Now, we have to couple that with public policies. And I want to speak to one specific policy, and that is shifting the subsidies that the oil industry has had for a century, shifting those subsidies over to the renewable side of it. And here again in the renewable side, this bill, H.R. 487, I happen to be the author. I'm kind of pleased with this piece of legislation. This bill would require that the subsidies be used to buy American-made solar and wind and other renewable energy equipment. We should never use our tax dollars to buy a solar panel made in China. We should never use our tax dollars to buy a wind turbine manufactured in Germany. If somebody wants to go out and buy a solar panel using their own money, buy whatever you want. But if it's our tax dollars, buy American. Use our tax dollars to buy American-made equipment. Use that to reignite the American dream, to build those machines, those solar panels in the United States. Use our tax money to buy American-made equipment, whether it's a bus, a train, a plane, or a solar panel or a wind turbine. These are public policies that emanate from this House. We can change what's going on in the American manufacturing sector. Mr. Tonko?
Yeah, Representative Garamendi, as you toss out pieces of the puzzle there, it conjures up all sorts of response that I think we need to provide and share. You talk about the intermittent nature of renewables. Sun not shining at night, wind ceasing to blow, you name it. The water perhaps, the hydro facilities perhaps if you have a dry season, whatever. We need to advance the notion of the battery as the linchpin to move forward aggressively with a sustainable agenda which renewables can provide. And so the advanced battery manufacturing that I see taking hold in the 21st Congressional District in Schenectady with the GE operation.
Excuse me. Why do we keep coming back to the 21st Congressional District, Mr. Tonko?
It seems to be the one that I know the best. So, but what I see happening there is, again, a great intellect being poured into design and the concepts of advanced batteries. And not only can these batteries move heavy freight, heavy equipment, they can also deal with storage of renewable, intermittent power. Once you do that, now you have solved the reliability issue, which is so important for our operations of energy. But to your point, not only is it sustainable, and not only does it create energy independence, it speaks to our policies from a national security perspective. We are purchasing from some of the most troubled spots in the world. If we're not doing that at the moment, we inspire, we cause the world market to do that. And a cartel controls our destiny. Is that smart? We are sending hundreds of billions of dollars into treasuries of unfriendly nations that can then use that to train troops against our own American forces. So it speaks eventually and very directly to our national security issues. And beyond that, when you talk about job creation, when we go energy independent, when we become more resourceful, which we ought to pledge to do, simply because no matter how it's generated, whatever the mix of our supply of energy resources, we need to steward those resources in a very, very deliberate fashion, in a way that is resourceful and not wasteful. So we build alternative technologies. We build into a renewable market. We do the linchpin activity with the advanced battery design and manufacturing, all in the U.S. And then we also provide for the training of the workforce. When we at NYSERDA had invested in our annual conference on workforce development, green collar job development, we had those, in one seminar, we had the presentation of how they were training plumbers in Germany in a solar hot water agenda, where they were able to put together the training that enabled homes in a very aggressive fashion to use solar panels on their house simply for their hot water purposes. What that couldn't do for a state like California, a state like New York, and then in mass, cumulatively, for the nation, is an incredible savings to our environment, to our job creation, and to energy costs. Absolutely important. And households will do well, jobs will be created, the environment will be better addressed. And isn't that the goal of a think tank like the House of Representatives? Instead, why did we ignore manufacturing for a decade and a half? Why did we avoid dealing with agriculture? Why did we not get into sound energy policy? I ran for this seat simply driven primarily by the lack of a comprehensive energy plan for this nation. How can a nation as great as the United States, with all of its small business, all of its manufacturing, its industrial sector, its households demanding a better outcome for energy, how could we not develop a comprehensive energy plan? It's what the President has asked us to do. He has challenged us. He's challenged us with fairness in the tax code. He has challenged us in a way that will inspire the reigniting of the American dream, driven by that notion of small business support, entrepreneur nurturing, and a thriving middle class. It's achievable, and what I would say, we have the format out there, we have the plan, we have work to do. Let's move forward.
There are so many pieces to this puzzle.